Again, ODM lead debate is alive, and according to Raila Odinga, he will resuscitate it when the right time comes. But the biggest antagonist of the BBI process, the deputy president, remains confident that whatsoever way, BBI has no value to Wanjiku. Also on the program tonight, we also dissect the State of the Nation address by President Uhuru Kenyatta and his backstabbing of the judiciary arm of the government. But first, let's have a look at how the week has been.
Uongozi sio sprint, ni marathon. Wewe utakimbia hapa, by the time umefika pale pumzi imeisha, lakini mzee amekanyanga polepole akuja kupitia ukiwa bado kwa barabara.
Mpango wa next year sio kubadilisha katiba ati kuongeza mamlaka ya rais, sijui kuongeza vyeo ya viongozi.
Reggae is on half time. It will come back. Mpira itaendelea. But the people of Kenya wanted a constitutional change, but a few individuals sat down in a back room and they decided otherwise.
And to have this discussion, we are joined by Area Member of Parliament of Nambale Constituency, Sakwa Bunyasi, who is also a member of the ANC party. We are also joined by Ganze, Member of Parliament Teddy Mwambire, who is from the ODM party. And finally, we have lawyer and aspiring Member of Parliament from Dagoretti North, Nordin Kagai. I'm your host for tonight, Clifford Ndubi, and you are watching Tipping Point. We ask you tonight, would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Talk to us via SMS 111-444-111. You can tweet us at Switch TV Kenya, at Switch TV KE on Twitter. Use the hashtag Tipping Point, and definitely do tag me at Clifford Ndubi and make this conversation move across our social media handles. So, gentlemen, it has been a roller coaster week in Nakuru. Yesterday, President Uhuru Kenyatta, seemingly yet again, he did hint that he will be endorsing the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Teddy Mwambire, you are from ODM. The last time this happened was in 2002 during the general elections. He himself, the president, failed terribly when the late Daniel Arap Moi, who was the president then, endorsed him. Why should he play this card, yet he knows the consequences that comes with it?
I think the president has not said that he's endorsing Raila Odinga.
He has just hinted.
Maybe you are suspicious of the signals, but he has not endorsed him, and we are yet even to hear whether Raila will be contesting or not. So it is on 10th when we are expecting Honorable Raila Odinga to give his stand on whether he will be contesting or not.
Oh, come on, Teddy.
Let's not work with signals. Yes, sometimes belief is not a proof. There are so many things that we believe which they don't exist, and the other things which you don't believe which they exist. So let's wait for 10th for Baba to declare that he's contesting.
Let's see how the signals then were played yesterday. Let's wait and see how the signals were played.
Okay, maybe if I may go by your instincts. If you look at 2002, when the then president endorsed the current president, look at the circumstances.
Yes.
Uhuru was picked from somewhere. He was given a position as a nominated MP and then endorsed. But it was even very difficult to know who Uhuru was.
Yes.
So wherever he went, he used to introduce himself first. That I'm Uhuru Kenyatta, son of the first president of the republic. But Raila Odinga is someone who does not require any introduction in this country. Even not just in Kenya, even across Africa, it does not require that, introduction.
Yes.
So even without endorsement, Uhuru has a very huge following. So if the president endorses him, he will be adding one vote, because he has a vote that he will vote for him, and then he will be adding the votes for his constituents, because he also has some following. So I don't think it will be easier outdo Raila when he is endorsed by the president for now.
Definitely on outdoing Raila Amolo Odinga as a presidential candidate next year is what we all remain to see. But first, let's see and listen to what President Uhuru Kenyatta said yesterday in Nakuru as we continue with the show.
Uongozi sio sprint, ni marathon. We utakimbia hapa, by the time umefika pale pumzi imeisha, lakini mzee amekanyanga polepole akuja kupitia ukiwa bado kwa barabara. Munanielewa? Ukikuja waambie huyu ni mzee hafai, tunataka kijana, sijui huyu ni ako namna hii, huyu ako namna hii, huyu ako namna ile. Mtu anachagua na bongo bana, mtu achagui na.
All right, Nordin Kagai, that is the president yesterday in Nakuru, where he said that it is too early for the deputy president to campaign and he might run out of gas. That is what he hinted. How is it likely to affect the politics of the succession politics come 2022?
First and foremost, allow me to say this. It's rather unfortunate from the condescending attitude that in politics that they have towards the young people, where they see the young people are either not yet ready or are not fit for office. You realize? And that reference is quite unfortunate, because at the end of the day, if you feel that, there's something I've heard Musalia say today, and I give him a thumbs up. He said, for those who feel that the youth are in a hurry, they should know that the old they've overstayed, or B, they're too slow. And sometimes back in the day when matatus used to play music, they used to have those stickers. If it's too loud, you are too old. So people have to move with the times, okay? Now let me get back to you. An endorsement by the president comes with a lot of things. You have to realize that. One, it comes with the failures of his government. And no one wants to have that on them.
Right? Raila seems to be ready.
You see, the problem is that people believe that they have always had the votes, but now with this, they'll have the system. You see, the sad reality is that we have reduced our election from the people into a boardroom discussion where people decide who becomes president, which is very unfortunate, because where is the will of the people in that? The people should be left to decide, as it used to be said back in the day. Let the people decide. So for me, I believe that yes, he has made that is an endorsement, but in politics, they say look at more at what the leader is not saying. You see, forget what they are saying, but what are they not saying? So in short, you look at the celebration at Nakuru, right?
Yep.
The premier was there, all right? The right honorable prime minister,
yes,
or former prime minister was there.
Yes.
So clearly you can see what he's trying to say, and it is his right, because he only has one vote.
Yep.
Okay, and I believe going forward, leaders should be given the chance to campaign for themselves. It is okay if you want to endorse, but sadly, we have the memory of 202. Yes, he just
talking about the memory.
Mheshimiwa just saying that Uhuru was a nobody. Let me use that word. But you have to realize people were tired of KANU.
Yes.
People wanted KANU out of office.
And talking
by
about
all means necessary.
Yes, just hold it there, because we are talking about the memories. Karibu sana Sakwa Bunyasi, Member of Parliament, Nambale.
Thank you.
The memories last year in I think Kakamega, if I'm not wrong, during the burial of the mother to Musalia Mudavadi, the president hinted that he would be supporting Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, but right now he seems to be
he said that there shouldn't be a monopoly by two groups.
Yes,
it's time for a third one to happen. Maybe people deduced that since he was in Mululu, he meant that the third option should be Musalia. And I know there was a bit of panic in quarters which expected to be endorsed. But I think what we can say with certainty is that he meant that shouldn't just rotate between two groups.
Yes.
In reference to himself and his predecessors, and to Ruto and his predecessors. But I think he has shown his hand henceforth since then that he wants Raila Odinga to be the candidate. And all around the world, government projects fail. I think he's doing a disservice to somebody who had established his own track record. And now to sort of come across as a government project is not going to help him. And I don't think that in fact, I think the private pollings are showing bad signs.
Yes.
I think he would have done much better without the presidential hand in it.
Talking about that, is Kenya ready for a third, for the change that is needed politically and for the presidential seat next year?
Is Kenya ready for the change that would occur?
Yes.
I think Kenya is ready for a change. That a change needs to occur. I think Jubilee has run its course. I think they have done what they themselves feel they have done very well, and there are areas which they have done well. They have done well in infrastructure,
Yes.
in terms of looking at just what was covered, but not in terms of looking at the how well they have done in the country. It's so concentrated. There are many areas that are left out. So there are very many unhappy people out there, even on the infrastructure. Even though you can look at what has been done without worrying about the distribution effects around the country and say they indeed have achieved this, have achieved that. There are some governance issues around those infrastructure costings. But probably that's a second round of review. First round of review, you can see the projects that is doing in central Kenya that are underway. I'm sure they'll get completed. And we of course look at the Gorofa Road in Nairobi over Uhuru Highway. That is visible. Just like in the Kibaki era, the Thika Highway was sort of the flagship project.
Yes.
I think that he can be very proud of, but overall the economy is not doing well.
Yes.
And you can see the level of resistance in his backyard. I think there's been quite a bit of arm twisting, but the level of resistance is high
Yes.
for a president in his second term. And he's finishing on a bad note with the rupture with his deputy president. That has undermined what they could have achieved if they were working together as a cohesive force.
Yes.
So I think he'll have things to say about his legacy,
Yes.
but I think there'll be challenges to the legacy as well that will occur. So Kenya will be ready for a new leader, definitely. They definitely will be ready for a new leader.
All right, talking about Kenyans being ready for the new leader come 2022, August 8th. Teddy, aren't you worried that when President Uhuru Kenyatta endorses the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in next year's polls, that might make him lose the seat?
First, I'll answer that question, but allow me to share something because I'm one of the young people in this country who is serving a third elective position. So it means that I was elected when I was very young.
Yes.
So the reference that the president gave to the young people, maybe my colleagues might feel insulted. But let us be very clear, because I've undergone elections when I was very young, and I've been going through elections. And to be very honest, young people are very good to pretend that they're supporting someone.
Yes.
But in most cases, they don't vote on that day. Elder people do vote. So if you are a young person and you want to contest, you must invest heavily to the elder people. Don't pretend that, don't say that Vijanas will vote for me. On that fateful day, they might either get drunk or else some will be even clerks. They will be looking for those jobs, IBC jobs, so they will not be voting. So a big fraction of the young people will not vote. Even if you look at the statistics, a number of young people today have not even registered as voters, which is a big challenge to us. So we are many, but we are not united, because we are the same people who are going to be hired to be like goons, to even heckle your fellow young person who is looking for a seat.
Sure.
So we need to look at that. So with the issue of endorsement, if it so happens, for me, I don't think it will bring a lot of issues, because I'm looking at the political arithmetics in this country since 1963. Honorable Raila comes from where we had Kanu, and Honorable Ruto comes from where we had Kadu.
Yes.
And the other candidates who is likely maybe to contest,
Musalia Mudavadi.
Musalia Mudavadi.
Today.
Musalia Mudavadi also comes from where Kadu was. So the Kadu stronghold is already divided. And if you look at most parts of most areas whereby we had Kadu in 1963 are lying to Raila Odinga.
Yes.
This means that Kadu will not manage to get those numbers. So Uhuru and Raila are the KANU of 1963. So in whichever circumstances, it will be easier for Raila to take that position. I'm saying so because even in 2002, there was a division in Mount Kenya because we had Kibaki and Uhuru.
And it is the same thing that we are
So,
experiencing right now.
so even if Raila gets 40% in Central because of the Jubilee Hills and endorsement, he will be better off than the other candidates. So I'm not even seeing likelihood of having a rerun. Yes.
You are just ruling out a rerun, but according to pollsters, Sakwa Bunyasi, we've seen for the past 3 months, 2 poll results have been released, and they say that there is a likelihood that Kenyans will be going to the second round of a presidential rerun if elections were to happen today. Are we likely to go there? Do you agree with him that...
I think almost definitely we would have a rerun. I see little possibility of getting a first round win by any of the candidates. So we definitely have a rerun. And the rerun is not favorable for Right Honorable Prime Minister. No, it isn't. I mean, I hear the analysis on the KANU. I know that young people also like to delve into history, but I think that that is really a deep reach.
Yes.
That's right at the bottom of the ocean. And you can't dismiss a theory, you can't dismiss a theory. I only have an alternative thought that the voting patterns have been more revealed in the more recent rounds of elections. I just want to repeat my statement that I think Right Honorable Prime Minister would have done better than he's likely to do if he didn't have such an aggressive endorsement.
Yes.
Voting in a government project is not an easy thing, and he has done better when he's been against things like those. To the extent that it seems almost certainly that that's the way the president is going to act now, I think for me it is a disadvantage. I mean, there is a certain cover you get. You get state legies and state protection, as is happening now, and perhaps even state financing.
Yes.
But in a country in which we're having difficulties right now, for example, the presidential State of the Union address, he highlighted the growth in the GDP. He highlighted that we are richer now than we were, and we are, I don't know, number 6 in Africa.
Yes.
But it just happened 2 days after Mkuru wa Njenga. Is it Mkuru wa Ruben or Njenga?
Kwa Ruben.
Yeah, Kwa Ruben. Mkuru kwa Ruben.
Yes.
After a very unfortunate incident of displacement, physical and brutal displacement.
But it has been happening for the past 2 or 3 months.
No, but you see, the timing of this, and the nation was embarrassed to see this people who are struggling through the COVID economy and otherwise anyway, with their beddings, wet and being used to try and get some shelter, torn mattresses used to get shelter and so on. And then you come up and say, we are a happy nation, we are a growing nation, we are a richer nation. That's not being felt. I come from Busia.
Yep.
And in Busia, since 2013, the proportion of poverty levels, people below the poverty line was 53, living out the decimal.
Yes.
In the 2019 estimates, it was 69.9, we call it 70. It had worsened by a factor of 30%, from 53 to 70. That's not a nation which GDP is growing for everybody.
Yes.
So it will be difficult to sell that as you hand over somebody else and say, you see, I've done quite well, I'm now giving you so and so to continue my legacy. I think that the former Prime Minister is stronger if he would have been in a position to be free to attack this record.
Yes.
That would have given him real mileage. But to defend the record, he can't make votes.
It is the biggest undoing. What is the biggest problem that comes with the dangers that come with the president involving himself with the succession politics, Kagai?
First and foremost, the elections has to be seen to be free, fair, and credible, right? And that that is why you see the issues with the agency that was formed the other day, and the issues with the IBC. Because even if you look at the Constitution, 248 and 249, they talk about IBC, 248 talks about the commissions. There are 10. IBC is one of them. 249 talks about IBC can't be controlled or directed on how to do its affairs. And so when they feel like they are being directed on how to work, that becomes a problem, because IBC is there courtesy of Article 88 of the Constitution. So you realize the process has to be free, all right, and credible at the end of the day.
Yes.
So like Mheshimiwa just said, you see, Jubilee, the ghost that is haunting Jubilee is one. You see, Jubilee campaigned back then, it was TNA and URP. 2013, what they promised is the biggest undoing, because to date,
Yes.
3/4 of what they promised has never been fulfilled. All right? And so you see, trying to support that is going to be hard, because at the end of the day, people have questions. Because the kids who are there in class 1 have not finished class 8. They've never seen a laptop. All right? Those who are waiting for stadias have never seen the stadias. All right? And we have clips about jokes that go around about the 6 and 3 months. All right? So how you are going to defend that is going to be hard, because at the end of the day, when people look at the president, they look at what he promised and what he's failed. Like for example, the SONA, when he was reading the other day, first and foremost, I believe members of our parliament, we need to come to a place like in South Africa. You know, their SONA, they actually question the president. You came here the other day and talked about ABCD. We need to move there so that we avoid speeches, and then you leave, nobody questions what you talked about. You realize? So what I'm saying is, when you look at the SONA, it was more or less like him trying to outline his legacy, all right? But you have to realize, when you talk about how rich we've become, and you look at the economy, people don't feel it. All right? So they ask themselves, this richness, what are you gauging the richness on? All right? Because most of the things they focused on are the infrastructure. All right? When you talk about the SONA, you talk about the gains, you forget the debt.
But
listen. Just wait. Listen.
Let me be the devil's advocate, whereby the president, we can defend right a kilometer from where we are. We can see the expressway, the Western Bypass already. There's commendable work that is being done there. The SGR itself, he delivered. So we cannot just blindly say that the president has done that.
It's good you've gone there. Now, the express you're talking about, you're going to be paying levies for 27 years. The company you're going to pay that levy to, which is the company. All right? Those are the questions we're asking. You remember, the good thing about the SGR reversed, there's a 2 or 3 years ago, he was asked about the documentation on SGR. He promised to do 71 days. It was never produced. So these are the questions Parliament need to ask members of Parliament.
Talking about Parliament.
Listen, they need to ask such questions like, you borrowed money. Was there security? What is the security? Because we keep hearing about the port. Is it true? We need clarification on that. The money you borrowed, where was it taken? How was it utilized? What was stolen? Because now we go back to corruption. Because you see, when you just read about the achievements of kilometers of roads, a kilometer of road in Kenya is worth 1.5 billion.
How on earth is that?
You look at the entire scenario, because when you just talk about what you've achieved and there are so many underlying issues, it doesn't make sense. That is why the economy doesn't make sense. We talk about you're number 6 in Africa, and people are languishing in abject poverty. If you just go behind here where they call Karendogo, which is Kibra, if you look at the state of how people are living, it is sad.
All right. Just hold it there at exactly 8 p.m. East African time. We go on a very short break, but when we come back, we share some of your feedback where we did ask you, would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Keep the conversation moving across our social media handles, Switch TV Kenya, Facebook, Switch TV KE, on Twitter, and of course do tag me, Cliff Ondobi, on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and definitely later I'll be sharing some of your feedback. But right about now, let's go on a break. When we come back, we take a look at the State of the Nation address, and the president keeps on backstabbing the judiciary and the BBI process. Trust me, according to Raila Odinga, it is coming back big and bigger. Let's go on this short break, but all that will be coming to you in a few.